This was a feat of technology. It was like magic that man had landed on the moon. Do you know what the technology was that took us to the moon? It was the Apollo guidance computer. And do you know how powerful that computer was? It's as powerful as today's musical greeting card. That's what my generation has been marveling at for the last 50, 60 years, is a musical greeting card. And today we're marveling at these pictures we're getting back from outer space. This 2-megapixel camera. Remember the 2-megapixel cameras we threw away about 10 years ago? That's one of the most advanced technologies we have in outer space right now. The iPhone is 1 billion times more powerful than that. This is the history of technology. It took thousands of years to go from agriculture to pottery to the plow to mathematics to the peak of Rome. Over the last 100 years, we've had advance after advance after advance. Human beings don't understand exponentials. They don't understand how fast everything is changing. Recently, we've been surprised by AI, by generative AI. But that is just one of the many things that's going to change the world. Because this is the path we're on. And it's not only computing. I mean, the smartphones you're carrying are more powerful than the Cray supercomputers of the 1970s and the 80s, which could not be imported into India. Today, even the beggars have smartphones that are more powerful than those Cray supercomputers were. And it's not just computing, it is everything that computing touches that's going exponential. AI, robotics, 3D printing, virtual reality networks, digital medicine, synthetic biology, genomics. Everything that is information-based is advancing exponentially. And exponential technologies are converging, and they're making it possible to do the impossible. Literally, we're making science fiction a reality with these technologies. Here are some of the advances we're going to see in the next decade. When I say in the next decade, I mean in the next 5, 10, 15 years or so. We're going to have cars that finally drive themselves and don't crash. I've been driving a Tesla since for the last 10 years. And even now, these Teslas crash into each other. The next 2 or 3 years, they won't crash. And then we're going to have flying cars. Between Delhi and Gurgaon, we'll be able to have drone service that takes us there. Next 5 years or so. Just watch it come. We're going to have drones delivering everything. Forget about these Swiggies and Zomatos and all these delivery apps. You're going to have drones that start delivering your food and your goods in the next few years. We're going to have robotic housekeepers. This is less of an issue here because you can afford maids and servants. In the West, I live in Silicon Valley. It's a luxury to have someone cleaning up after you, the things that you take for granted. But the robotic housekeepers are coming, as are the robotic friends and companions. Here, it's not a big deal. All of you have friends, companions, you have strong family units. In America, there's a pandemic of loneliness. In the West, there's a pandemic of loneliness. They've lost their spiritual and their cultural values, and everyone is on their own. It's really sad to see how depressed people are because they have no one, no companions. Well, they're going to have AI companions before you know it. And then AI doctors. Imagine doctors guiding you on your health and watching out for you. Cures for diseases including cancer. Gene-edited plants. Imagine growing mangoes in the desert of Rajasthan. Coming. Gene-edited human beings. Remember Jurassic Park? Jurassic Park is coming, and guess what? As of this morning, there was an announcement made by Colossal Biosciences that they've brought back to life the dire wolf. A 12,500-year-old extinct species of wolf was brought back to life. Next up, they're going to do the woolly mammoth, and then the dinosaurs. They're all coming. Believe it or not. Bionic enhancements. Being able now to have superhuman strength. That's coming. And that's just the beginning. I mean, I can go on and on and on. Virtual reality and holodecks. 5 years from now, Network 18 will be doing this event on the moon or on Mars or God knows where, because we'll be able to participate virtually. We won't need to travel. We'll be living in multiple worlds. And then 3D printed houses, electronic goods, space colonies, they're all coming. Even though it's relatively inexpensive to build houses in India, imagine if you could build entire new colonies 3D printed within days. It's going to happen before you know it. And then the green revolution, vertical farms. I mean, one of the projects I've been involved with in India is a company called Plasma Waters. They're about to launch the next green revolution from India. It's coming. Unlimited, almost free and clear energy. By 2030, Energy will be as cheap as cell phone minutes are in India because solar is advancing exponentially. And then commercial space exploration. These billionaires are not only competing on ego, they're also now competing to see who's going to be the first to have commercial space flight. Next 5-10 years, you'll have the option, if you have enough money, to take a vacation in outer space. Robots, they're already here. In the next 2 or 3 years, they'll be commercially available even in India. So rather than dealing with your maids and your drivers, you're going to have robots doing the work if you want to, get someone who's less of a, of an issue in gossip and everything else. Now look in your pockets. The iPhones or the Android phones you have, they have some of the most advanced sensors known to humankind. Everything from gyroscopes, accelerometers, devices that used to be in nuclear missiles, you have more advanced versions of them in your pockets. Technology that would have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and weighed hundreds of pounds just 30 or 40 years ago are features in your smartphones. You don't even realize the advanced technology that you're carrying around with you. So what can you do with it? You can build smart cities. I don't know why India hasn't done that. Its entrepreneurs are more busy, as Piyush Goyal said, building delivery apps and brain-dead, startups rather than solving the real problems of India. Why don't we now put sensors all over Delhi, all over Punjab, all over the country, and start monitoring everything that happens as it happens in terms of pollution and toxic waste and everything? Inexpensive. You could do that in India today with these advanced sensors. And now let's talk about medicine, something near and dear to all of us. I don't know if you realize it or not, but Apple doesn't only build iPhones. Apple has become a medical devices company now. Apple has its ambitions to go beyond selling smartphones and laptops to now dominating the medical field. A $3 trillion industry, the tech industry is fighting over. So they're building advanced sensors that go in your smartphone. Imagine the opportunities to build apps now on top of these which monitor your health. Now imagine having sensors not in your smartphone, but having them on your skin. Little band-aids that you wear, tattoos, sensors in your clothing that monitor you 24/7. They're coming. We're going to be on 24/7, literally connected all the time. And then monitoring our internals, going inside the body, exploring. Imagine nanorobots that go and do surgery. They're coming in the next decade or so. So what's happening is that we're gathering massive amounts of data. Data. All the IT people know that when you have data, it becomes a gold mine for AI. So soon, our AIs will exceed the capabilities of our doctors. When I say soon, in the next 2 or 3 years. What's India's biggest advantage? Its population, its data, its culture, its values. Imagine what India could be doing with this. We are one of the richest countries in fact, we are probably the richest country in the world for data. Why aren't we, using it to uplift not only India but the rest of the world? It's a $1 trillion opportunity for the country. And then there's the human genome. In the year 2000, there was a race between a scientist, Greg Venter, and the US government to sequence the human genome. It cost the government $2.76 billion. The scientist spent $100 million and he beat the government to the punch. That made front page news. What cost $3 billion in the year 2000 today costs about $300. What's happened is that we have become data and our doctors are becoming software. This transition has happened already. We are now data. Which means that we can now start curing disease and preventing suffering. For me, this is very personal. I lost my wife to cancer 5 years ago, Tavinder. I lost her to cancer, and I was devastated. The only thing that kept me going was her wish that I spend the rest of my life helping others and preventing anyone from suffering the way she did. So I started studying up on cancer because I've been teaching exponential technologies, convergences. How do you build $1 trillion companies, $1 trillion industries, $1 billion companies? So I said, okay, now I'm going to solve the problem of cancer. So I put together a grand plan, presented it to Prime Minister Modi, and with his help, I was able to connect with some of India's most amazing entrepreneurs to put together a startup that could transform India's cancer care system. What is cancer? Cancer is as unique as we are. It's caused by DNA mutations. There's no one cancer. There aren't, lung cancer, breast cancer. No, every cancer is different. Just like every fingerprint is different, every cancer is different. What's the challenge in curing cancer? Getting data. The Western medical system is corrupt. It's antiquated. You can't get data there. Because the challenge is to understand the full picture. Everyone is looking at different segments of the data. India has the data. And that's why Karkanos Health launched a very ambitious project to transform India's cancer care system and to start gathering the data that the world needs to cure cancer. It's an amazing initiative which is now part of Mukesh Ambani's empire, part of Reliance Group. They're going to impact India in a very positive way. But one of the things which I realized, which I learned in working with Karkanos, I headed up the advisory board, was that every single cancer case we were seeing in India was stage 4. The advisory board kept asking, why is everything stage 4? Because you can't afford the medical tests that the West can afford. And it's a taboo in India. So my next mission was, let's solve the problem of medical diagnostics. So, I looked into what the techniques are. Sequencing the genome, DNA, is what scientists in the West are working on when it comes to detecting cancer. But I realized that there has to be a better way. That's 50-year-old technology we're talking about. I said, what if you can now do the same thing with organic matter and open up another dimension like you opened up with gene sequencing? That was my thesis. Again, I was 65 years of age when I started this project, 65 years of age. And I said, I'm going to now solve the problem of medical diagnostics and transform the entire medical diagnostics industry. So the problem is that the equipment that you have, the lab labs and all these pathology labs, the hospitals, that equipment comes from the West, and it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's ridiculous. And then every part that you need for it costs tens of thousands of dollars. Javed Qadri from AIMS is here. He showed me their mass spectrometers. It's ridiculous the way the West is ripping off the rest of the world with their expensive medical equipment. So my thesis was that we could now do the same thing as mass spectrometry, which converts, fluids or samples into atoms and then measures the mass to charge ratio. My thesis was that we could now use AI to explore the ionization of samples in a completely different way. And this is what my goal was, to develop tomorrow's diagnostics lab. Essentially, mass spectrometry, the most advanced mass spectrometers, every one of them, in a little lab which can diagnose everything that's happening in any fluid. It seems impossible to do, right? Well, there was a technology I had seen in Chile which was funded by the US government, one of the Skunk Works projects, Department of Defense, to try to do real-time mass spectrometry. It failed. Why did it fail? Because between the US government and South America, they didn't have the engineers and the scientists, the plasma physics, the thermodynamics modeling experts, the electrical engineers, the mechanical engineers. You can't hire them in the West anymore. They've stopped teaching these things, and everyone now wants to build the next stupid app. That's what the West is doing right now. They don't have the depth of knowledge that India has. So I decided to make a bet on India. This was crazy. When I tried raising funding in Silicon Valley 2 years ago, and I said I wanted to do my R&D in India, and what's more, my goal was to provide medical diagnostics to the poorest of the poor for 100 rupees. Literally, they laughed at me. India, ha, ha, ha. And why do you care about poor, starving Indians? I was so furious that in my last meeting with the venture capitalist, I slammed my hand on the table. I said, I don't want your effing money. I'm out of here. So I decided now to bet on India in a big way, something which, India is debating whether it can do itself. Can we do deep science? The ministers are talking about it, the prime minister is talking about it. Of course we can do deep science. India has the deepest science in the world. We have the largest bench of scientists, engineers, and the beauty of it is that you also have a moral compass. Because of India's spirituality and values, you have people that really want to impact humanity. It's not about money. In Silicon Valley, it's all money, 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 money. In India, you care about karma. You care about giving back. You care about, spirituality. You have everything necessary to solve the problems of humanity. This is the device that IIT Madras and AIMS jointly built in collaboration for us. For the scientists here, mass spectrometry. This is a mass spectrometer which just did an entire sample analysis in 30 seconds. So this technology could not have been built in the West. It was built in Chennai and Delhi in less than a year. Theranos spent $1.4 billion and resorted to fraud. This entire project has cost less than $3 million. This is India's capability. Innovation has globalized. You have everything you need now in this country to be able to lead the world in solving the grand challenges of humanity. Just think about it. If at the age of 63, I decided I'm going to cure cancer. At the age of 65, I decided I'm going to disrupt the entire medical diagnostics industry. If I can do this in my old age, as Hardeep Singh Puri said this morning, imagine if he wishes he was part of India's youth now, because you have access to all of these amazing technologies. You're now part of a rising economy. You don't have to be burdened by the West. You don't have to be doing the stupid startups that Piyush Goyal talked about. More delivery apps, more of the same stupid apps. You could be solving grand problems. Because everyone here has access to the same technology that the people in the West do, and the cost of starting a technology company has dropped exponentially. Literally, if I can talk about transforming the entire medical diagnostics industry for $3 million, imagine what is possible. And by the way, I decided before we get into medical diagnostics, we try to take a detour, because every time I come to India, I get sick from drinking the water, and all of you are drinking poison, eating poison right now because of the polluted waterways. Mass-scale industrial dumping within the waterways. So Javed and I decided that we're now going to solve a problem that AIMS has been working for the longest time on, which is exotoxicology, looking at exactly what's happening to the water supplies across the country. So we're repurposing our technology to test water all across the country. We're starting off with the Yamuna. We're going to start in the next 6 to 8 weeks. We're going to start monitoring the Yamuna 40 kilometers of Delhi. And then we're going to take it to the Ganga, Maharashtra, Telangana, where the Chief Minister's, is already talking about bringing our technology in. We're going to start testing the water all across India. Because why? Because the cost of using our technology is almost zero. Within 30 seconds, within a minute, we can tell you exactly what's in your liquids. Liquids, I'm starting off with water. Next will be urine, and then it'll be blood. And we will disrupt the entire medical diagnostics industry, and then several other industries, thanks to a made-in-India technology. This is what is possible. The trillion-dollar opportunity is happening at the intersection of exponential technologies. All I had to do was figure out the convergences of technologies, and I knew what was possible, and I'm making it happen. And then you have to now realize that disruptions are going to happen in every industry where technology can be applied. It means that India's IT industry is in serious trouble, because AI is going to take all of those jobs away, and new jobs are going to be invented, which India better figure out how to take advantage of before it has major industries going bankrupt, because every industry is going to be disrupted. We can solve the grand challenges of humanity, and entrepreneurs can do what only governments and big research labs could do before. If you want to learn more about this, there are 2 books you should read. They're both available in India. Driving the Driverless Car tells you everything from AI to quantum computing. It tells you what these technologies are, and it talks about the ethical and moral issues of every technology. And then if you become ambitious and want to build a billion-dollar company, read From Incremental to Exponential. All right? Be proud, be confident, and think big. Don't do stupid little startups. Think about changing the world. If I can do it, all of you can. India can lead the world and build an amazing future for all of us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Wadhwa, for those fantastic insights and for that futuristic time travel. I'm sure you agree that India has the want, we have the vision. And also our biggest strength happens to be our population, which also is one of the largest in terms of the youth population that we have. And I truly appreciate, Mr. Wadhwa, your insights, especially when it came to the field of health and how AI is making those giant leaps. I'm sure under the aegis of Shri Prime Minister Narendra Modi, we will get there very, very soon. Our next session is going to be about India's soft power. What comes to mind when we talk about India's soft power? Many talk about yoga, Ayurveda. And ladies and gentlemen, it's also about an era that has been shaping global understanding. As Bharat emerges as a global leader, its socio-cultural soft power is taking center stage alongside its economic prowess. But what makes Bharat's story so compelling? The answer lies in the incredible diversity of its people, cultures, and experiences. And who better to bring these stories to life than our panel of visionary storytellers? Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming three masters of their craft. Mr. Sohail Seth, the founder and managing partner of Councilage India, who has been weaving compelling narratives for brands and individuals alike, requesting Mr. Seth to please come on stage. Mr. Prasoon Joshi, the poet, thinker and chairman and CEO of McCann World Group India, who has given voice to Bharat's aspirations through his words and work. And also Shri Amitabh Kant, India's G20 Sherpa, former CEO, Niti Aayog,